Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I didn't buy Kaspa today. Like I said I was going to do yesterday, and guess what, nothing bad happened. In fact, the price went down a bit more. Something I can always rely on. I am crypto tyke and the inflation avoider, and I'm just talking about what's been happening today in crypto. Like I said, for somebody that isn't a trader and is an investor, I sure do a lot of trading. Anyway, yeah, so what's been happening today? Well, as I expected, not a right lot. I would expect prices to go down a little bit more, so I thought, fuck it, let's not bother with Kaspa today, because my liquidity, the bulk of it comes in tomorrow anyway, and there's absolutely no rush. As I always say, the price of Kaspa, it's good as it is, and it could always get lower. Now, a little point about that, this is, again, I know I don't have to explain this to some Kaspa holders, they understand the concept, but there are some that people in crypto that don't seem to get this sort of point. You've only got limited money, right? So you want to, your aim is to accumulate as much Kaspa as humanly possible. So why do you keep buying just randomly and holding and watching the price go down and holding and holding and holding, missing out on everything? The point is, by not rushing into buying Kaspa, because let me get this absolutely straight to those people, you're the FOMO, you're the people who are FOMOing into Kaspa, not the rest of us. We're just buying and accumulating as we go along. Slowly catch your Kaspa. And that is how it works. So today, what I decided to do with the little bit of liquidity that I did have is just set some orders for Chainlink and SUI and ONDO, and at the moment I'm just waiting for those orders to be filled, because I've dropped them a little bit lower in expectation of a bit of a drop. And also I have now gone into Kita, so I've added a new one to my profile, to my portfolio. Kita looks promising at a good price. It did hit the $1 mark, and it is now trailed back to about, I think, about 55 cents, 60 cents, something like that. So it's a good time to start buying. I'm just waiting for the price to go down a little bit more on that as well. Now, my point about Kaspa is this, right? If you don't just FOMO in and you wait for the prices, you can get more Kaspa for your money, and you're trying to accumulate as much as possible here, remember. And little drops in prices, because it's not like Bitcoin where you're only going to get 0.0001 of it, or 0.001 or whatever of Bitcoin at a time. You can get thousands of Kaspa at a time, and little drops in the price from 7 cents to 6 cents can give you extra, not just point of a Kaspa or a handful of Kaspa, but we're talking, it can be the difference between buying 1,000 Kaspa, more, 10,000 Kaspa, depends when you buy. So we're talking big amounts that you can get just by being sensible and waiting for the dips rather than worrying it's going to moon. Because guess what, every time you buy Kaspa, price drops. Almost as reliable as night following day sometimes. And that is all there is to it. It's really that simple. You don't need to swap your ETH, you don't need to swap your Solana, you don't need to sell your house, sell your body. Just as your money comes in, keep putting it on a little bit at a time. And I bet I can guarantee you the tortoise will outpace the hare when it comes to how much Kaspa they have in the end, because even at 25 cents, yeah, it's still good value if it's going to go within the next 5 to 10 years, this is, by the way, to where people think it will. Now, in the meantime, I've picked up Kita because that looks like already to get back to where it was is looking at a 2x. So, guaranteed doubling my money there. Pretty much, feels like it. And I've looked into that, done a bit of research on it, and it looks really promising. It is a bit of a risky one, but risk reward, that's what I've got there. And it isn't a huge amount that I've bought. I haven't actually purchased it just yet. I'm just waiting for the price to hit my limit order, and then, which I'm pretty confident it will. If not, doesn't really matter, I'll just adjust it, and I'll pick up a small amount of Kita to get started with and just see what happens to its price in the next week or so before deciding what to do next. But that's what it's about. I've picked up, like I say, I think I mentioned Chainlink. I'm picking up, that's where the limits are set. I've cancelled the buy order on Kaspa so it doesn't interfere with that. And then tomorrow I start to look at things like Solana as it gets hopefully back down just below $200. That's the mark I'm looking to start buying again at, and top up Ethereum and monthly Bitcoin, obviously. Then I can do some Kaspa, top that up, and just look at other places. But at the moment, good places to top up, good prices at the moment with ONDO, with SUI, even XRP, not too bad at the moment. It might be worth sweeping in and looking at that. They've had, there's been some positive news about that recently that could lead to the price getting a positive boost as prices go back up again. So as for Kaspa, still no Binance listing. I know they keep talking about it, but just talking about it won't make it happen. Just gonna have to wait that out and see when it happens. I mean, we're in no rush. What are you worried about? Why so bothered about a Binance listing at the moment? You're in it for the long term, remember, so there's no rush. In fact, the longer it takes, the better, really, for you, surely, if you're a Kaspa holder, which I know there's Kaspa holders on here. There was somebody in the comments who sounded smart and has been doing it, and big shout out to you, by the way. Now, having positions in Bitcoin, Solana and Ethereum and Kaspa, and that is the sensible approach. Don't worry about it when prices, it's just people like me, and I would imagine this person, don't care. We understand what being in it for the long haul is, and we understand that it might be 5 to 10 years before we see it do what we hope it'll do, and that means Binance listing, not urgent right now. Next alt season, that's when we need to see the Binance listing. For all I care, it can sit around 10 cents, 9 cents, 8 cents, 7 cents, 6 cents, 5 cents, and that's brilliant. That's just good news because we can keep buying more. And yeah, meanwhile, those people who are buying up like fucking idiots and holding through everything stubbornly and not sacrificing any of it to try and buy more Kaspa on the down, are missing out big time on actual profits, and the ability to buy more Kaspa. I mean, seriously, if you're not doing it for nothing else but to buy more Kaspa, you still should be doing that. That's exactly how it works, and that's what I'm doing. And then even at 25 cents, you're still going to be able to buy enough. That's life changing, so don't worry about it, don't panic. No need to rush. Get ONDO. I'm not saying get ONDO, it's not financial advice, by the way. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm topping up on ONDO, SUI and other things that I think are going to be more credible for this alt season. And you've got to look at the big narratives at the moment and the real world assets and obviously AI. So things like that. I'm again, I'm always watching, because I've added one to my portfolio, and when I do that, I'm always looking at other things that I might need to get rid of, but because I don't want to be stretched too thin, it's always important, so don't feel the need to buy every coin you think's got a good narrative or got a chance, because the safest things to do are those probably in the safest thing to do is those in the top 10, but anything in the top 40 is probably going to fly anyway, and your chances are good, so just pick the decent ones and stick with building those, and you should do well in alt season. And that means in time for next alt season, if you're buying Kaspa, you'll be able to load up on Kaspa relatively cheap. Like I said, it's not like Bitcoin or Ethereum where you can only buy fractions of it. You're getting thousands just by saving, and when it goes to 25 cents, you'll still be able to get shit tons anyway. That'll be life changing, so there is no rush. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. It's just my little thought for the day again, about Kaspa and that kind of mentality. They seem to be full on at the moment on social media, so it sort of got me thinking about it again. They broke a world record. I have said 100 times that it was. I mean, on a positive note, it does show that it can cope with those transactions, which is very important for Kaspa. But that's all it was. It was a world record attempt. It wasn't a signal that people are using Kaspa, and a couple of people accepting it in their businesses doesn't mean it's getting loads of use. It's just a few people out of billions who are accepting Kaspa as payment. You know, people who probably are just like those people who are hodling Kaspa, who are like, well, pay me in Kaspa because I'm happy to accept it, because I'm saving that for when it goes through the roof. If it goes through the roof, let's hope it does. Anyway, thank you to all the subscriptions I've had so far. I'm nearly at 50 now, and when I hit 50 I can start doing lives. So if you haven't already subscribed, just hit that subscribe button. It makes all the difference to a channel like mine, which is still tiny at the moment, but I am growing. Also, do hit the like button, because the algorithm and all that, and even comments, you know, just a short comment, anything, all helps with the algorithm, even if it's just for the algo, you know, all helps. But let me know how you're all getting on, what you've done today, and I will get back with a video tomorrow. I have a couple of videos that are scheduled, and they are, because Wednesdays is a difficult one for me to actually get time to be able to film on the day, but it's concentrating on the problems we've got with the government, and it's happening in the UK especially, but with the banks, funnily enough, trying to get an amendment through in America, something I talked about before about stable coins in the UK, with them limiting it to £20,000 that you can have in stable coins. I said this is the banks just trying to legislate out competition. Well, it's more transparent than that in America, because the banks are trying to put through an amendment that means stable coins cannot give you interest on them, and that's transparent what they're doing now. So I didn't realise that were going on in America, but it is. So a few things about how important it is that you start taking seriously your security, your custody and everything like that. Very important now, and I'll explain all that tomorrow. Anyway, thank you for your time, and I will catch you guys later. Bye bye.